Hey Forex Fortune Hunters, it's Tom Wilmot. Welcome back to our series of videos on the Metatrader platform and trading currencies for fun and profit. In this video, I'm going to focus on a template I've put together quickly called New Combo, and it is designed to help you trade with the trend, stay out of trouble, improve your risk-reward ratios, and have some good times moving that equity curve up and to the right. We're going to describe the indicators that it consists of, and then we're going to show you where your best entries and exits might be. So if you're in for that, hold on to your hat. We'll get started right after this. Okay, Fortune Hunters, I'll try to keep this to 10 minutes or so, and at the same time try to give you as many insights about this template as I can. Let's start just by identifying which ones of the indicators we've used here, and additionally how you can have access to them completely for free if you just follow the link down at the bottom of this video in the description section. Shoot me an email via that link and we'll give you an invitation to the Dropbox site where I keep all of that stuff together for you. In this particular template called New Combo, we have the 6 and the 12 EMA moving averages. I've used a T3 Tilson set to 24, and this particular set of lines here and the orange line here are what we call the Zeelander Signal line. Now that goes all the way back to the book we published in 2016 that's still on Amazon Kindle. It's called the Zeelander Flytrap Forex Trading Strategy, and there'll be a link to that down in the base of this video as well if you'd like to have access to it. And as many of you know who have watched these videos in the past, what we try to do is put a combination of indicators together. Some slides are busier than others, for sure, and we get some complaints, well, that's too busy. Well, the idea is very simply we'd like to build a template from our piece parts that you can use to personalize your own strategy. Whatever suits you visually and so forth, you can use to your good advantage. And so that's the reason for all the mix and match. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit more about this new combo. And we also have included the RSI, and we put two lines here in terms of the oversold, overbought lines. We use a 45 and a 55, and obviously anything above this level is kind of the buy zone, and you want to be very careful not to do counter trend trades when that's the case. And then likewise, if you're down over here and you pull back to this area right here, this would be the 45, then this would be the kind of rejection that you would see here at the Zeelander line that would drive you down further. Now, I've put this chart up on the wall first today because the daily chart shows that this is equally positive in terms of its usage and its beneficial usage on a swing trading daily chart as it is on the lower time frames. And we'll get to those in just a second. But if you notice, what happens here is very simple. The Zeelander Signal line, I'll explain it more clearly. When we have this white medallion appear, and or when we have this blue medallion appear, that means there has been a crossover of the 6 and the 12 EMA. So let's take a quick look here at the indicators list. And I have to bring it over from my second monitor. Here we are. Wilmot MA Cross, and this is one of the indicators. It's a custom indicator I had programmed back in 2012, actually. And it's available for free if you follow that link below this video. But in any event, here's the Wilmot Cross. We edit it, and we bring this over again here. And you can see that we have the fast 6 and the slow 12. We said we wait for a bar to close. That's true, and so forth. And then on the colors, we have the white smoke and we have the aqua for the medallions that are being used to indicate when you've had that rollover. The lime and the red simply are what you use to track your moving averages. Now, by the way, if you've got your moving averages already in place and you just want the medallions, you can click here, obviously, in this area. And if you say none for color, obviously, that will black out the moving average, and you can have your own moving averages on the screen. I like to keep it compact by using it this way. Okay, so this would mean very simply that the crossover occurred here and headed down. Now notice that the T3 Tilson, which is this additional custom indicator that's available to you by Tom Tilson, came up with a smooth moving average that I like to use in some situations. And this one set to 24 really kind of was a support area, so that even though we had a downward trend here, it was quickly reversed into the upside. Now, those of you also who've been tracking with me on other videos know that this is a nice continuation signal. We crossed over the signal line and we had a temporary setback, but then as soon as you get a reversal this quickly, often that means you're headed in the other direction. Okay, so now what we see here is that when this crossover occurs, in this case to the upside, you can see that that's where, at the closing value of that candle, the first dot of the Zeelander Signal line, which I call the Z line for short, is printed, and then it continues here. And the notion behind the signal line is that if you get a continuation past with moving averages, that's the continuation signal you're looking for, so that it's not just a false breakout signal. Now, oftentimes you will have to wait a little bit for some pullback here prior to having that happen, that moving average move forward. And in this case, the white arrow indicates this is the crossover point of the 6 EMA. Now you can make it any value you want. Let me show you about that one. If you go to Wilmot Signals, then you can also say in the inputs section, well, in this case, I'd like it to be the 4, or I'd like it to be the 12, or it could be the 6, it could be the 24 if you wanted to make it a longer term. And through experimentation, especially on the higher time frames like this daily chart, I've used a 4 to try to capture as much of the trend as possible. This indication, once again, is that the trend is intact, it's moving upward in this case, and the moving averages prove that to be true, okay? So now we have a situation where, in this case, we did come down here and we did create, you can see, 2 drops on the signal line to the downside, but we never had a confirmation with the moving average going through it. And as a result, once again, we had one of these signals that suggests, number one, that the T3 Tilson is holding, and number 2, that we had a reversal, a quick move back up to the other direction. So in any event, you can see on a daily chart how helpful this could be. We had this move down. We did not even take out with an aqua medallion. We did not have a crossover. We held here at this level, and this reversal here could get you into a very nice during the 2021 time frame, in this case 3rd of February, a nice move to the north on the pound US on a daily chart. Okay, let me switch this to a lower time frame, and we'll be right back. Okay, now we've moved down to the 15-minute time frame, and you can actually use this on a 1-minute chart, but obviously you're going to have more noise on a 1-minute chart or even a 5-minute chart. You could get some substantial moves that way, but you would have to kind of shorten or narrow your expectation for the number of pips you're going to get, obviously. And so I kind of compromised here for day trading on a 15-minute chart. Just to clear this slide, we have here some vertical lines, and these are created by my session times custom indicator. This is an hour before the London Open because I've sensed that we're getting more and more trades from the continent now than even from London, although this is when things begin to pick up. Now, you could take a trade on a 15-minute chart with the pound in this particular area here, there's a 23 pip trade, but you can see that during the day, the real action occurs after the London session and especially into the U.S. session. This is 7 o'clock Boston time, and then we have the 9:30 open of the New York Stock Exchange, which is also quite important to both the euro, the U.S. Japanese yen trade, as well as the pound that you see here on the screen. Now, in this case, this was the 12th of February, and we can move forward in time on this one. You can see here that we've had this kind of move higher. And I would like to point out one more thing about this particular template. I want you to notice that here we have the T3 Tilson. When this crossover occurs and the Zeelander signal line is created, it works best if this line is below, the T3 Tilson is below the Zeelander signal line. This is a continuation trade, and we never went down below it, so that's okay. But notice here, this was the downward leg after the down turn occurred underneath the T3 Tilson. In this case, the longer-term trend is higher, obviously, so this was stunted, but you can still see that that's a pretty good thing. Now, here is another one. It's about even, so you want to be a little more careful, but for sure, if it's close, that's the most important thing. Here's one that's quite good. We came down below the T3 Tilson. We set into place here, and as you can see, as we got to the 9 o'clock hour on the Forex.com server, which is about 2 in the morning for me in Boston, New York, then we had this complete downdraft here, and on the pound, that was good for 32 pips, which is a nice day's work for me anyway. So as a result, also here we're above. Notice that this one is a little more direct than this one. We're above the T3 Tilson when it's created. We pull back a little bit, but then we swing higher in the 9:30 session, and we ended up with 50 pips on that particular score. Okay, let me take a quick break here again, and then I'll come back to wrap it up. Okay, for our wrap-up, let you know we're recording this on the 16th of August 2021, which is after the weekend. It's a Monday, and we've had a lot of volatility in the market based upon a number of different factors: the stock market, inflation data, the lack of inflation data, the withdrawal and the collapse of Afghanistan, and so on and so forth. But let me just wrap up by saying that if you watch carefully, you're going to see that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday typically are best times to be trading. Monday can be kind of slow. It is at least today. And you'll get your biggest moves oftentimes in the middle of the week. This happens to be the 11th of August, which was last Wednesday, I believe. Let me see what that was. Yes, that was Wednesday. And notice once again, to recap, we had a downtrend, and we did have the downward line here at the beginning of the session. The London session was underneath the T3 Tilson, and we had a nice move to the downside in that session of 24 pips. But then we came back up, and this is the real bubble that you see, this beautiful little curve here with the Zeelander signal line right here. And we had a move higher and then just taking off. Now, once again, using the 4 EMA to judge when we had our breakout, this is the area. So there was plenty of time on a 15-minute chart to get involved here in order to get that blast off in the 7 o'clock hour, probably related to some economic fundamental announcement. But even after that occurred, as you have a pullback and hold above the 12 EMA, you can see this is a nice continuation signal. Two closes below this line, and then a recovery so that you're above the 6 EMA, and then you're off and another 31 pips in that session into the afternoon. Once again, because of the differing inflation data, we found last week to be very volatile on this pair, and we had this move, nice move, 15-minute chart with the T3 Tilson above it, the Zeelander Signal line here, created then the nice moves downward in this area. Once again, if you want to wait and see if it's an established trend, you can, I'll get rid of this line. This was the previous Zeelander line. If you have a pullback above, this is the reversed opportunity, a nice move and then a failure at the 12. That leads you to this lovely move that occurred after the 7 o'clock hour on Thursday, down for 53 pips. Same thing with a wicked reversal and a round trip on Friday as we had this move in the 9:30 hour. And once again, just as a subtlety on this, if you see that you're not even able to close below the 6 EMA, just hold tight, hold your position, and ride the wave. Okay? I hope that's helpful. Please leave any questions below. If you have them, I'll do my best to answer. Don't forget to follow the link if you'd like any of these indicators. And check out those books on Kindle if you get a chance. The Zeelander Flytrap Trading Strategy, as well as Forex Power Surge. As always, thanks for watching.